Guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. I am not alone today. We're going to play a fun game of buff, nerf, or delete. And I guess we can add rework in there too. But as I said, I am not alone. I am joined by Clash with Shane and KFC. Guys, what's going on?
Yo, Ash, I'm excited to be here, man. Very, very excited for this video and excited for this new game.
Let's go. What's happening, guys? Your boy KFC Clash. Happy to be here. What's happening?
Dude, when you said new game, I'm like, new game? Is there breaking news? But I get it.
No, this is a fun new game of delete, heal, or whatever.
I got you. But I heard rumors that Supercell is dropping a what? Okay, I can't share too much. I don't know too much, but I heard they're dropping like what it should be a good, really solid game, a non-Rush Wars game. Let's put it that way in 2020. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway,
dude, that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, on to our buff nerf game. Delete. So I have 10 cards selected, gentlemen. I selected these cards from the bottom of the use and the win rates, and also I added a couple curveballs in there, some popular kind of win conditions that we get a lot of banter around in our comments on our YouTube videos. And of course, speaking of YouTube, you guys should take a moment and subscribe to my man KFC Clash and Clash with Shane. Both of their YouTube channels will be in the links below, and I'll put them as a pinned comment, and I'll put their creator codes and everything else that you guys support these dudes on. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and start with the Witch. The Witch is an interesting card. She's been nerfed and buffed back and forth quite a bit this or in 2019. Let's go ahead and start with you, KFC. What do you say on the Witch?
Well, Witch was like ridiculously strong a couple of metas ago, and it wasn't even fun to the point where you'd play a Valkyrie on top of it, and it would lose like almost all of its health. So I don't want to nerf it either because it's not that great at the moment. I don't want to delete it because it's a good card. So I'm going to say like slight buff just to make it that much more viable. I don't want to be too OP in lower arenas, but I also want it to be viable in like competitive and on ladder, top ladder that is. So yeah, I reckon give it a slight buff.
Slight buff.
Yeah.
Shane, what about you?
I think it needs a fat buff. I mean, I think it's not in a good spot right now. I'm kind of sad. I'm a little bit sad about the Witch right now. So
okay.
I think it needs a fat buff.
I actually kind of want to, I don't know what the answer is. I kind of lean towards you guys that she does need I guess I'm more towards KFC. I'm not going to say fat buff. I'm not going to go fat, but I'll go skinny. Skinny buff like KFC. Because I'm worried about, I know how much of a nuisance that the Witch can be in the kind of mid-ladder too. Like it can be, when she's strong, she is strong for whatever reason. So I guess I'm going with KFC, but yeah, clearly they maybe went a little bit too far in the last nerf on the Witch. I agree with you guys. And as a matter of fact, she's actually one of the lowest cards in the entire game in terms of just win percentage right now.
Oh, wow.
Tourney standard.
Yeah, that's kind of why I think like a small buff just isn't enough, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Fair enough. Next card, we're going to keep this video moving here. Next card is Wizard, another kind of mid-ladder nuisance. Shane, you go first this time. Or actually, yeah.
I think the Wizard needs a slight rework. Very, very slight. Because the issue right now is like you can't just buff it. It would make it just way more annoying on ladder. But at the same time, it's not viable competitively at all. So I feel like a slight rework of the Wizard, maybe like a damage over time effect with the Fireball. I don't know, but cool. Just something to change it up a bit.
Kind of like that idea, actually. I never heard that. KFC, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty standard card. It's a medium HP kind of unit that dies to like, most spells. It's 5 elixir. It throws pretty like weak fireball. Although not weak, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if like a buff will be able to fix it. It's just it will become OP or it's just not viable. So yeah, I agree. I think a rework of some kind. Maybe even change its mechanics. Maybe it could be like I don't know, one big fireball then a small fireball. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. Yeah, I reckon a slight rework. Yeah.
KFC doesn't know. That's it.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. I stole this from one of my viewers. Shout out to you, awesome viewer, in the comments. Last time we did one of these videos, but someone suggested just making the radius a little bit smaller, right, on the Wizard. Like I think that the problem is not. I think the Wizard is a good card. I would actually like to see the Wizard do a little bit more damage, a little bit smaller of a radius. I know that kind of moves him a little bit closer to the Musketeer territory, right? But I feel like just the radius is sometimes insane on the Wizard, right? When he's too strong, the radius is just like he'll kill everything coming at him. But maybe if he had carried a little bit bigger of a punch. But I do like the idea a little bit more outside the box, like you said. Shane or KFC, that having like a second blast or something kind of more unique about him. He is I don't know. I guess I'm with you guys though. A little buff or a rework is definitely in order of the wizard. Next up, we have my favorite card in the game, the Elite Barbarians. Shane?
Ooh, E-barbs, man. E-barbs are, I think, a really, really cool card. Obviously, they missed their mark with the last rework, but I definitely think another rework is in order for the Elite Barbarians. Just something crazy, give them splash damage or give them like a shield, just something to make them feel more elite than they do right now.
Wow, splash damage with a shield. Damn, son.
Dude, that'd be crazy, man.
Dude, spamming those at the bridge are like indestructible card. Might as well add 500% damage while you're at it, right?
Yeah, I love it, dude.
I love it. I love it. All right, you're buffing the hell out of them. What about you, KFC?
I reckon I heard this. I don't know where I heard it, but I really loved it. So basically with E-barbs, I think they should increase their sight range so they can be pulled really easily into the center, because that's half the problem. A lot of the time, E-barbs, they just bypass and go straight towards the tower, or one of them does, and then you're screwed, especially if they're over-leveled. So I don't know. I reckon make their sight range bigger, and maybe, I don't know, give them a bit more damage. I don't know, dude. I can't do that. Not on E-barbs. Nah, yeah, probably like buff something, maybe hit speed, and just make their sight range massive so they can easily be kited. I don't know. I think that's it.
I mean, if I wasn't an E-barb coach, I would be tempted to say delete, because this concept of a card is just like, it's not good. The Elite Barbarians are just a very uninteresting card in my opinion, and I don't know, man. They suck. They are like the worst card. In my opinion, they're the worst card in the game. I actually ranked them as the worst card in the game in my worst cards ranking video, because it's not just that they're bad. It's just they cost 6 elixir and they're bad, right? It's just like,
it's almost like they need a shield and splash damage to make the elixir worth it.
Nice.
They need to I think they need to swing faster, honestly. I think they need to swing faster and be distracted easier. So I'm going for a rework too, right? I want them, I mean, obviously, they could think way more outside the box than just that, but to me, they need to. They're awful. They're awful. You can almost always defend against Elite Barbs with a positive trade on the defensive end, So yeah, I think that Elite Barbs definitely. I'm gonna go with rework / buff. Next card is Heal. KFC. What do you think?
Heal is so hard to balance. Like, we saw Healer is just broken. Heal is either broken or not good. I reckon just delete it. It's just, I don't. They said they were never going to add it, and they did, and it just wasn't successful. I reckon just delete it.
I say delete it as well. I just don't. I don't think there's going to be a way to have the heal be balanced. It'll either be polarizing and overpowered or weak. So I think just delete it. It's, to me, like the least interesting card in the game, and probably the one card that I would miss the least if they were to delete it.
Yeah, would anybody even realize if they deleted Heal? If they delete Heal and no one plays it, does anybody notice it?
Does anyone notice it?
If a tree falls in the woods, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think. I'm with you guys. Delete Heal. Get it out of here. Okay, next card. Fire Spirits. Shane?
Ooh, this is an interesting card. Fire Spirits by themselves, like it's conflicting because Furnace can be so annoying, but the Fire Spirits themselves aren't that viable. So any buff you make for Fire Spirits is going to change the Furnace. So what if they did something like making them have 4 spirits instead of 3?
I was going to say that. I agree with that completely. That would be sick.
Right, because that way you don't affect the Furnace, but you still buff the Fire Spirits. Because I think they need a nudge for sure. Make it more viable.
I love that. I love that idea too. I love Fire Spirits. They're one of my favorite cards, but they're not that great, you know?
Yeah,
I reckon 4 Fire Spirits is the play.
Could you imagine 4 Fire Spirits at the bridge for 2 elixir? Like
4 Fire Spirits split behind your tower. It's cool. It's like a nice starting play too. It's like it's kind of
sweet. That's sweet, dude.
I feel like if having 4 Fire Spirits would put it on the same level strength wise, obviously different utility, but the same level strength wise as like the Wall Breakers, you know? Like
yes,
in
for
terms
sure.
of,
but like you can respond to them with a Zap spell, right? You know,
they can still be countered easily, but they're still like way.
They would get so much value on defense though. Maybe you'd have to like slightly nerf them and maybe give like the Furnace a HP buff, like slight HP buff or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I think that the Furnace is a little strong too and a little annoying too. So like I actually wouldn't mind if you maybe nerfed the Fire Spirit a tiny bit and just kept the Furnace the way it is, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Like the insane damage on defense. Imagine like, I don't know, you're defending a battle ram and 4 Fire Spirits come down.
That's
like,
true. It's basically like Wall Breakers, but you know, now you can use them on defense as well, right? So might be a bit too OP. So radius nerf, their splash effect or damage nerf, but 4 Fire Spirits.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, okay. I'm with you guys. Next card is Shane's favorite card. I'll let you go first on this one, Shane. It's your favorite Expo.
Okay, this is the card. If there's any card ever in Clash Royale that's needed to be deleted, it's the Expo. It is the only card in the game that is as polarizing as it is. And I don't think a single player in the entire Clash Royale would miss it, to be honest.
Wow.
I'd miss it, bro.
What about
I'm just kidding.
what about all the Expo studs? What about Air Surfer and Dink Gannon and Lemon Tree and stuff?
No, I'm just kidding.
They'll miss it.
No. I think honestly, Expo needs my idea here is to make it last 30 seconds, not 40, and to give it a slight DPS buff to compensate. Just making it a bit more counterplay, I guess, less defensive, less slow placed. So 30-second duration, like a rework for the Expo, 30-second duration, slightly increase attack damage.
KFC?
I think Expo's balanced, dude. Can we add in a fifth option? Balance? Like, come on. It's like a few players will play at top ladder, have success, but otherwise it's not too great. I mean, the best thing you can do is like maybe make it more, I don't know. I think it's balanced. I just think it's good how it is.
I don't like disagree with that. I don't think the Expo is like crazy overpowered. Obviously the win rates aren't crazy high, but at the same time, I just think it's a bad design overall. Just too slow and defensive. So like a rework to make it more aggressive while, being like a net neutral exchange in terms of win rates.
You want it to be weaker on defense?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 100%.
But on defense, mainly with Expo decks on defense, you don't really play Expo on defense that often. It's mainly just Tesla.
Yeah, maybe nerf Tesla too. Then I don't know.
Yeah, but good players do play that Expo. Like KFC. Like they play a lot of defensive Expo, like on their strong side tower, like right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
and that could be
nothing
annoying.
more annoying in Clash Royale than like getting into a battle against an Expo and they just stack an Expo on the opposite lane, and it's like, well, this is going to be a 5-minute battle now. Right?
I agree with you. I agree. It's weird. I agree with both of you guys. I do agree with you, Shane, that like it is annoying when you get to like double elixir time and that Expo player just starts stacking Expos defensively and you're like, crap, like how am I ever going to break through? This is going to be a 4-minute or whatever, 3-minute, haul here to finish this match. But I do agree with KFC. Like maybe I'm wrong here. This is going to be like the most polarizing card I feel like that we talk about. Well, there is Hog and Golem coming up, but like,
Oh,
I don't know. Like I don't know if you should just nerf or rework a card just because it's annoying to some players. Like, I don't know the answer to that, but I guess my gut kind of tells me that you shouldn't balance cards based on just how annoying a subset of the community or player base finds. I don't know, but maybe you should. I don't know. But to me, my gut tells me you probably shouldn't. And I do look at the stats on Expo, and they've never, like KFC said, they've never been out of control. I do feel like it's balanced. And I had Vulcan on the channel ranking win conditions from like a great CRL pro, and he put the number one skill win condition based on just skill is Expo. And I think a lot of people agree with him. Like KFC, you're in tune with the pro community. Do you hear that same thing?
I hear that 2.6, Expo 2.9, maybe like log bait, they seem to be like up there. Yeah,
they're up there in the top 3. Yeah, of course. And and so I don't know why you would nerf the number one skill or the top 3 skill archetype in the game that doesn't even, the numbers don't even show that it needs a nerf,
Yeah, that's true. Like, I don't disagree. I agree it's a skilled card for sure, and it doesn't deserve a nerf, just going by the win rates. But at the same time, personal bias here. I hate facing it like crazy. I got you. And I just think it should get like a net neutral exchange in terms of strength, but making it less defensive, more aggressive.
I got you.
That's kind of hard, but yeah.
I got you. Next one is Royal Recruits. Royal Recruits is a pretty awful card, probably the lowest skill card going from Expo to Royal Recruits. What say you, KFC?
I hate it. It's my least favorite card in the game. You literally, what do you do? Yeah, bro, what do? You just, there's what is it, 3 tiles on each kind of row you can play it on your side of the map, and that's it. It just drops 6 warriors, and that's it. There's no skill to it. I don't rate it.
All right, so delete from KFC. Shane?
Recruits is an interesting card because I have a special place in my heart for it. I really want them to buff the recruits because it's been so long. But with that being said, when you face recruits, it's so frustrating and annoying because it's just they just drop this card. It just blocks both lanes, and it's you can't really do a whole lot unless you have a ton of splash damage in your deck.
Like a Rocketeer, aka Firecracker.
Yeah, like a Rocketeer. But no, seriously, the recruits, they're frustrating to face against, but they're really fun to use. I find at least. If let's say they buffed them, for example, I might change my mind. 4 months later, if they're meta, you might get tired of them pretty quickly. But because they haven't been meta for a while, I would love to see them get some love.
Okay.
We're not friends anymore, by the way. Yeah, that's just don't want to hear that from you,
So
mate.
a delete from KFC, a buff from Shane, and I don't know, man. I guess being a low skill player myself, proud low skill player, I actually kind of like recruits too. I kind of like.
Nice. How about this KFC? I'll agree to deleting the recruits if we delete Expo.
Ooh.
Nah, I made too many Expo videos. Nah, can't be doing that.
Yeah, road recruits are an interesting card. I kind of agree with you, Shane. Like, listen, no one's sitting here saying that road recruits are an interesting high skill card. They're not. They're for noobs like me. And I don't know. I kind of like. I don't want to delete them. I don't know what I want to do. I probably want to rework. But I don't know. We could talk about rail recruits all day. Instead, let's talk about Zappies, who, as you guys can see on the overlay right now, Seth from Supercell had a lot to say about Zappies. He basically, in a roundabout way, said that they're really, really challenging to rework, which is what he wants to do. And then some players, such as Boss here on the screen as well, said that he's sick of hearing about that. He's sick of hearing about reworks. Just give him a buff. So where do you guys stand, KFC?
I think they should make the first attack of the Zappies quicker. I think a buff would be great because a lot of the time they're not a reliable defensive unit because you can just fireball them. But at least if you're not going to give them a ton of HP, at least give them the ability to attack quick enough to get a bit of value before they fireball. Because at the moment they just don't do anything and they just die and they don't have any offensive value really. And they're primarily a defensive 4 elixir unit that I think they need a slight buff so it attacks quicker.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. Like a lot of these reworks that Seth threw out on Twitter, they're interesting, but I just feel like it wasn't that bad of a problem beforehand, before they were nerfed a year and a half ago. So I just think return that nerf they got back then, put them back to the way they were, and just see how it goes from there. Because the meta has changed substantially since then. So
how about they a year ago?
I think it was it August 2018, 2018? Been a year and a half since they were nerfed.
But how were they before?
They were. I was kind of surprised when they got a severe nerf. I don't think in my recollection,
they had a different mechanic.
Shane, the mechanic some people found annoying, like the stun lock or whatever. But I never looked at them as being a broken OP card. Personally, I was kind of shocked when they went from a little bit above average to dead.
Well, the way they were nerfed essentially back then was like a bug fix essentially, because they had the Sparky mechanic where they charged up. And then if they were fully charged, they attacked immediately, but they had that charge time. And it had this weird mechanic where if two Zappies met the bridge, one would stun out the other one, even though they both played at the same time. So they changed it to have attack speed, no charging. But it ended up being a net nerf with their first attack speed being slower. So now they just watch a Prince charge them in the face and don't do anything.
That's the worst.
I think Supercell loves offensive cards.
Yes, I agree with that.
And Zappies are defense, right? And that's why I don't think they've been really addressed too much. But if you guys remember, Zappies were the ultimate tank stopper, right? Zappies against a giant or a golem or something. You just feel so satisfied as a defender. I got that on lockdown,
But how is that any different than Ram Rider, for example? If you're using Ram Rider and if I'm using a balloon deck and it goes into a Ram Rider, it just stops and does nothing. The Ram Rider will stun out that balloon for the entirety of the length of the balloon. Mm-hmm. How is that different than the Zappies were, right? Well, and then you have the counter pushing potential of the Ram Rider too, right? So
if they buff Zappies and make them meta again, they're single-handedly in my opinion, one of the biggest meta-changing cards when they're meta, right? Because like you said, they are huge, a subtle indirect nerf, huge or subtle. Ash, choose one, man. But they're indirect nerf to bridge spam, to beat down, to balloon. A lot of the popular archetypes right now.
So, and an indirect buff to Three Musketeers and Royal Hogs.
Yes, to fire for Royal Hogs, decks that no one uses really, or not a lot of people use right now. So I actually think it'd be really interesting just to see what life would look like inside the game with Zappies being popular. I personally would like to see it, so I'm team buff as well.
Nice, cool.
All right. Buff. Now on to I added these ones. Like I said, I'm going to add some win conditions. I alluded to it earlier, Hog and Golem, just because we hear so many people having strong opinions on these cards. So let's go ahead and discuss, guys. Hog Rider, what do you think, KFC?
I mean, it's not really meta at the moment. I just too much bomb tower and NATO, and like it just isn't as effective compared to like other win conditions. But it seems to generally be balanced. It seems to depend on like the other cards in the game, what's strong. Like for example, if I don't know, just like cycle, like Musketeer's really good, then Hog's good. Like so, it's simple as that. So I think it's pretty balanced at the moment. I think it doesn't need any change. Like if Earthquake's good, like Hog's good. It's just how it works for me.
Yeah, I think Hog Rider is an interesting card because like it's one of those cards that a lot of like good players can have a ton of success with, but overall the card itself, like the stats, aren't that good. Like it's one of the lower win percentage win conditions in Clash Royale. But at the same time, like 2.6 Hog Rider has been around forever.
It's one of the most
Hog
popular
Executioner,
too. Yeah.
Hog Executioner has been around forever. And
Hog Mini P.E.K.K.A. right now is doing well.
Yeah, Hog Mini P.E.K.K.A. Rocket. There's players that find a ton of success with those decks, but overall, like Hog Rider just isn't that strong. So it's hard to say buff it. Like if I could, I'd say buff it. But the problem is that those players that use the Hog Rider become even stronger, right? So how do you buff it in a way that keeps the players that have success with it, equal, but also buff it overall for everyone else? And it's like you can't. So I would just say keep it the way it is right now.
I agree with you guys. I actually think the Hog's in a good spot. I feel like everybody has a strong opinion on Hog, nerf or buff. But like, and I hate to be that guy on the fence, but it's not the fence. I just think it's balanced for the most part. It's not, like there's some a very small portion of players. Like Yersin and Jack and the Japanese wave guy who can excel on ladder with 2.6. Yeah, and Tempest.
Like he's not 2.6.
Yeah, I was talking about 2.6, but and then there's a bunch of players who can play like Hog Mini P.E.K.K.A. and stuff like that, like Tempest. Yeah. And it's just like, I love watching those players play. They're some of the most exciting gameplay for me, and it kind of gives hope for like free to play players or just any like Hog enthusiast that it's possible to excel in almost every meta with Hog, even when it seems like the decks, no pun intended, is stacked against you, right? So I don't know. I think the Hog is balanced as well. How about Golem, guys? What do you think about Golem?
I think Golem needs a death damage nerf and potentially a attack damage buff. And the reason I say that is like there's a lot of times the Golem like just gets to the bridge, like or just gets to your tower by itself and like explodes immediately and is like 1,000 damage explosion. It's crazy. So I feel like lower the death damage, but make it more rewarding for getting the full Golem to your tower, maybe.
100% agree. I had to jump in front of KFC. I agree with you. I think the Golem is rather balanced on the stats.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel right that the most of the Golem is doing a ton of damage. He should be a huge meat shield. I want to almost see him have like even more HP, like and not do barely any damage. Like I want to see him. He is the daddy of all tanks, right?
The tank, yeah.
He shouldn't be doing like you said 1,000 damage to a tower, in my opinion. KFC, what say you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to Bag a lot, and he's meant to be like the best Golem player, and he thinks it needs a buff, and I have to agree because like it's an 8 elixir tank. It needs more HP, dude. Like especially with cards like Healer being good, and it's just not as dominant as you'd expect it to be with Healer. Like, and I mean, it was for a while, but Elixir Golem kind of took over, and I don't know. I just feel like it gets. I just think it needs more HP. It's not where it should be. Yeah.
My only issue with that is like I think we all experienced this last meta was the Golem meta, and it was like 5 out of every 7 battles was Golem Night Witch every battle, and I find it's just so the gameplay is so linear where it's just like, hey, they place their Night Witch, there's gonna be a Golem in front of it, they're gonna use a spell right now, So whereas a lot of other decks, there's a lot of back and forth, fast paced gameplay. It's hard for me to get with the buffing of the Golem idea because I just traumatized from last season of
to be
Golem
fair though,
Night Witch meta.
That was just purely because the Night Witch was ridiculously strong.
That's true. That's true.
I had a point. I can't remember it now. Damn it!
It's just that the overall depth of the strategy of Golem is just fairly straightforward, and I find it to get very like it's one of those decks that like every battle plays out the same. Where it's like, hey, Golem, Night Witch, spell, right? Whereas other strategies is a bit more variation into the battles.
Not necessarily. Like, for example, if you're playing Golem without like a reset, you have to really think about how you're going to play. Like if you watch like the really good Golem players at the top, they'll instantly recognize that the matchup, they're not going to break through with like a proper golem push unless they play their golem at the exact time. So what they'll do is just cycle their support units, kind of just play it like that. And then as soon as the opponent makes a misplay, is over defending, bang, golem in the back. They just have too much support and that's it. And I really rate that. So and we're not seeing enough of that anymore. So I think golem needs a bit more HP just to get through those like Inferno Towers and stuff, especially because we're seeing, you know, alternate small spells instead of zap now because there's just so many small spells, and maybe reset like zap is just not worth anymore. And having it is like a liability to the deck. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I actually agree with both of you guys. Like I said, I already kind of gave a little bit of my spiel about Golem, but I actually agree with you, KFC, that overall I think he needs a little bit of a buff, but I still think that the death damage is too much. So like, I think that it should equal out to being a little bit better than he is right now, but I do think that he needs a little bit more HP or a rework of some sort, and the death damage just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's our list of 10 cards. We've shared our opinion. Now we can hear from you guys in the comments below. What cards did you guys delete? You wanted Expo deleted, Shane, and Heal deleted by KFC?
Recruits.
And recruits.
Kill them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. KFC agreed that he would delete recruits and I would delete Expo.
No, we didn't. No, absolutely not. Dude.
And we all deleted the heal. All three of us.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Again, channel links will be in the description for both of these guys, along with their Twitters, their Instagrams, and whatever else info I can find on these guys. You will have it all in the show notes below. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Ash.
No problem, guys. That's going to do it for the video. Check out their player stats and profile as well. Thanks to Satchel.com in the description below. And a huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check out his information as well. Just concluded the Bren Chong Cup. Stay tuned for the next tournament organized by Bren Chong. Of course, follow him on all social medias to stay up to date with what's going on in the world of Bren. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate it. And as always, take care, guys.